Hi everyone, and welcome back to the next diecast. Today I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale Mercedes Benz AMG GT made by Maisto. So I featured this model recently in my How to Clean Diecast Model Cars video. So I kind of figured, why not do a review on this one? And I actually had it out on display this week too, so I figured, why not? This is a pretty good model for Maisto. It is still being made. You can find it in like a black with a black interior. They also sell it in their exclusive line, and that one comes in metallic blue with a red interior. Now the Maisto exclusive is slightly more detailed and slightly more priced than the Premier Edition version, which is this version. The exclusive version has like side windows. There's more paint detail on the interior. I think a bit more exterior detailing. It's not a huge difference, but if you're looking for like a particular color like that blue, I would go for that one then. This model did come in this really cool solar beam yellow, which is a color on the real AMG GT, and also a silver, but they haven't made those for a couple years now. I'm not sure why, because this model looks really good, especially in this yellow. You can find it online for between the typical $25 to $40 range, depending on if you get it from Amazon or diecast model wholesale and whatnot. Wholesale clubs do carry this model. I haven't seen it at my local Sam's Club recently, but I know that Costco's will have it, and occasionally BJ's. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the details of the model. We'll start up here with the headlights. Maisto actually did a pretty good job with these front headlights here. There's no pegs to be seen, even when you look at them up close. They did a really good job with like the LED beams that are up here, as well as like the regular headlight beams that are in the center here. And they kind of have the effect of being like turned on when you look at it from a distance, which I think is really cool. The lenses are actually nice and flush with the body. There isn't like a big gap between the plastic and metal, which is nice to see. You see that on occasion with budget models. They'll have like a big gap where the headlight lens is. Detailing on the grills, I would say, is fair. Maisto did that cool like wavy pattern on the mesh, on the textured mesh on here. It is an actual mesh; it's just kind of a textured plastic, but at least it kind of has the texture of actual mesh. And from a distance, it actually looks pretty good too. These two lower grills beneath the headlights have the same kind of mesh texture to them too. This Mercedes Benz badge right here. Sorry. This is actually a separate chrome piece. It's not like a part of the grill, so that's pretty cool to see. It looks like it's made of real metal, but it's actually plastic. There's a little tiny AMG inscription down there that's painted on, and this Mercedes Benz badge above this badge here. That isn't a sticker. On Maisto's other Mercedes Benz models, they usually put like a sticker for that badge instead of like a painted on badge, but this one they actually painted it on, which is nice to see. AMG license plate down there. The grills on the hood also look pretty good, especially from a distance. They aren't see-through either, but at least they're separate pieces. I would say the overall paint quality on this model is pretty good. The real car, of course, has like a more metallic yellow than this yellow. It would have been nice if Maisto had actually done it in like a more metallic hue, but the paint that's on this model, I would say, is pretty much flawless. It's nice and smooth throughout. There's no like orange peel effect or anything like that. These side vents on here say V8 bi-turbo. They have an inscription on the side there. A little bit loose, so just be careful with those if your model has like loose grills on the sides. Maisto did a pretty good job with the wheel detailing and also the brake and the brake caliper and brake disc. The brake calipers say AMG on them, and they're done in a nice silver. Of course, you do have full steering, good steering I might add too, as well as full suspension on all four wheels. Gaps are a little bit wide on the doors, but they're not too bothersome. And if you get this model in like a darker color, like the dark red or the black, you won't be able to see them pretty much at all, even up close, so that's not a huge problem. The mirrors are done in separate plastic pieces. They're nice and sturdy. And the door handles are actually separate pieces too. Maisto doesn't often do that. Moving along to the rear, you'll see this Mercedes Benz badge, as well as the AMG inscription and the GT on the other side there. Those are all painted on. And speaking of painted on, these rear indicators are painted on. They look pretty fake. I wish they had actually maybe done them in like a separate plastic or something like that. they don't look that great, especially if you look at them up close. The exhaust pipes are done in like all black plastic. They are actually hollowed out though, which is nice to see. Instead of chrome, they actually went for like a more, I guess, like realistic look. I don't know if they're black on the real car or not, but on this one they are. They look better than chrome at least, which is nice to see. The taillights also have that LED pattern on them, and Maisto, I think, did a really good job with that. And again, the lenses back here, like the ones in the front, are nice and flush with the body of the car. They don't have like a big gap in them or anything like that. In terms of opening features, this model actually includes a really cool extra feature, which is a rear spoiler. You just pop it up like that. And it really does actually add to the overall look of the car. If you have it on an angle like this on display, it really looks cool. And with the wheels turned too. So that's a really cool feature. And the hatch opens too. On Maisto's SLS AMG, which they made a few years before this model, it has a spoiler, but the trunk doesn't also open with the rest of the car. I'm just going to close it up and then try to open it with one hand. It's kind of hard to do. There we go. This doesn't stay up anymore because it has like the gravity effect on it. But the trunk detailing, not much to really see in here. It's not really textured or anything like that. There's of course no carpeting. There is a liner underneath the rear hatch, which is nice to see. It isn't just like a bare metal. And there is kind of like a brace back here, as you'll see where my finger is. But that's really it in terms of detail back here. And the spoiler does kind of lag after a while of being put up and down. So I have like a really small piece of tape beneath one of the hinges that actually holds up the spoiler when I push it up. So just be careful with that. I wish they'd done a better job with making the spoiler last longer when it's open and closed. But this is a Maisto. And at least it has a spoiler. The more expensive NORAD version of this model, which retails for around $80, doesn't have the spoiler. It does have the full trunk though, but it doesn't have a spoiler. I would honestly prefer this one over the NORAD because it has both. Let's open up that hood. Engine detailing, I would say, is overall fairly generous. I think it's not just one plastic piece, it's a couple plastic pieces. You can see there's a Mercedes Benz badge here. That's where the builder actually signs the engine on the real car. That silver square you see right there. AMG inscription on either side of the main block. There's some silver detailing with like the wiring and whatnot in the back here. So that looks pretty good, especially for like a newer Maisto. On the exclusive version, there's more paint detailing up in the front here. And also kind of more so in the back too. There is a full liner underneath the hood, which Maisto doesn't often do, so that's a nice little extra touch, I would say. Overall, decent engine quality. It could be a little bit better in terms of not looking like one plastic piece, but I would say for a Maisto, it's a fairly good job. Let's close that up. Now we'll move on to the interior of the model. Start with the door panel detailing. Door panels are fairly well detailed. They have a nice kind of leather pattern to them, especially up top here. The door handles are nicely done. Wish they were maybe painted silver so you could actually see them better. And Maisto actually put in like door pockets here that could be functional. They put something really small in there. You can actually use them as an actual door pocket, which is a cool touch. They do open and close on the spring-loaded hinge, so that makes them a little bit tough to open on occasion, but overall, I would say they did a pretty good job with them. AMG on either door sill. It's just a sticker, but at least it's applied straight on. It's not like, crooked or anything like that. And the seats look pretty good too. They're the proper size and shape. They have a little AMG inscription in the middle there. Maisto did a good job with that metal effect up on this part of the seat. There are seat belts too. They're a bit hard to see though. They have a nice texture on them too, the seats. Center console, not too much to see. There are a few buttons. They aren't really painted. I think on the exclusive version they're painted, but on this model they aren't really painted. Maisto did do a nice job of that carbon fiber pattern in the center there, along with the vents and whatnot. There is nothing on the GPS screen. I'm thinking of maybe printing out like a Mercedes Benz logo on a black background and just kind of pasting that on there. Could use a little bit more detailing, but I guess they wanted to kind of make their exclusive model stand out more than their Premier Edition model, which I understand, but you know, they should have maybe paid better attention to the interior. The dashboard does have a nice texture on it, though. It has that like same leather pattern, and the vents look actually fairly realistic, especially when you like from a distance too. And this roof actually has a full liner on the inside. You can see here. Maisto actually did a really good job with that. They don't usually put liners inside their cars. They just have the roof as like a bare metal piece. And there is actually really generous detailing with like the mirror buttons and these like visors and everything too, which is a really cool feature, especially for a Maisto. The steering wheel detailing is, I would say, pretty good. They did a nice job with the silver buttons on either side. There's also a Mercedes Benz badge in the center here. The pedals are done in a nice, they actually look like they're made of metal, the pedals, which they did a really good job with. But they're, you know, of course they're made out of plastic. But overall, I would say they did a fairly decent job with the interior. Could use a bit more finer detailing with like the GPS screen and some of the buttons. But other than that, I'd say it's a fairly good interior for a Maisto. Underneath, not much to see. They do have an exhaust system. It's painted in silver instead of just being chromed out. So that's nice to see. But that's really about it for the underside. Overall, I would say this is a pretty good model of the AMG GT. If you're looking for a budget version of the AMG GT, then this is the right model to add to your collection. It might be hard to find it in this yellow now because it has been discontinued in that particular color. But if you do find it for a decent price, I would say definitely get it for your collection. It looks good with other supercars and definitely with other Mercedes Benz models as well. So, hope this helps. Thank you all for watching, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow my Instagram page, Nick's Diecast page. That's all lowercase with no spaces. Thanks for watching.